What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Tournament Tactics. It's NFL Week 10. We got a big slate ahead of us. We got the crew together. Some new names. Got the sleeveless one, Big Marl, in the crew. Hopefully, BobbyWow will pop in at some point for us as well. And we're taking a look at the Week 10 NFL slate, and we're going to look at it from a tournament perspective. So we're going to kind of try to figure out here what the chalk is going to be. We're going to look at some ways to pivot, some leverage, all this good stuff. In addition to Big Marley, we have the Millie Maker engineer himself, the scientist at the heart of the Shark Laboratory, Burnsy.
Hey, guys.
Right down there. And guys, let's get right into it. You know, I took a look at the week. I'm going to pop this up on screen here. But I took, obviously in researching this week's slate, it's a tale of haves and have-nots, right? And you can see it up here on the screen. Now, where's Bob? Where's Bob? Oh, that's a good question. Where's Bob? Bob is in North Carolina in hurricane conditions. So again, we want Bob to be here. He's welcome. We want him to pop in, but it's blowing over there. Wind. It's like a crazy. The Bobs are all missing. But we can pull it off. We got this. So anyway, tale, guys, of haves and have-nots. And you can see it right here on the screen. Look at the haves and look at the have-nots. It's like, it's pretty clear. No. Yes. 3 games to rule them all. Sorry, I was just watching Lord of the Rings thing. So, literally 3 games to rule them all this week. And in my notes, I can't wait to take a look at the chalkboard in a second here, because in my notes, I basically have 3 quarterbacks, and I don't even know if I want to do more. I squeezed out a 4th quarterback just for a salary differentiator. Squeezed one out, Big Marl. But it's really just 3, and I'm going to pop the chalkboard from DFS Army on screen here, and because the 3 are very, very, very obvious. So, for all intents and purposes, I like I said, I've just got. I love this. By the way, not jumping on we've been on the Fields bandwagon for this is week 4. We actually run the bandwagon, and we charge a ticket price to get on the Fields bandwagon. Been on it. I would hate to jump on it late. But it's Mahomes, Fields, and Tua. And there's a trio of quarterbacks that really stand out so far and wide above the others that I don't even know if I'm going to do other quarterbacks this week. Now, Burns, how do you feel about doing just those 3 quarterbacks?
I mean, they're in such a great spot that it makes a lot of sense, right? To minimize your player pool down to those 3. But, I got a couple others that I'm going to probably end up playing in addition to these 3, just because you almost have to have an exposure to those types of quarterbacks, and just in case they go off in a big tournament,
Yeah, it depends on the size of the tournament too, right? Giant, if we're talking Millie Maker takedowns, then I don't know. There really aren't too many other quarterbacks. It's basically you're requiring those guys to have a dud. There aren't too many that really have even the possibility of like a 30-plus point type of day. Like it's going to be few and far between as far as that goes. But let's start at the top with the big ones, and then and I'm going to say the obvious ones, and then we'll each go around and do one quarterback that isn't part of the big 3. But let's talk the big 3 here and try to see how we can differentiate our approach to the week, because it seems rather obvious. Big Marley, you're a big Pat Mahomes guy. Mahomes is on the slate here, and for me, he stands out as obviously he's the most expensive, which sucks. But what's interesting, actually, he's not particularly. He's the same price as Fields and Tua essentially on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, he's significantly more expensive. I like to point that out because if you play on both sides, you might as well just kind of like play him on FanDuel more, because at least he's the same price as those other guys. But how are you stacking up Pat Mahomes? How are you getting different with Pat Mahomes this week, Big Marl?
Well, it would have been more interesting with Hardman in because we'd have some more options, but now it's a little tougher, I'd say. Juju and Kelsey are my favorite too. I would say Juju is my favorite because I have been on he's like one of my top best ball guys, so I've just been riding him all season. And now he's really picking it up lately. So I'll probably have Juju in the majority of my Mahomes lineups. He's also only 6K, so he just fits nicely there. But I think Kelsey and Juju makes it contrarian right there because it's hard to afford Mahomes and Kelsey on the same team. I think you could throw MVS in there. And then the interesting thing with Hardman now is does Tony have a role now this week? I don't know. I'm a little bit too worried to go there with like a single entry, but I'll leave him in my 150 pool. And then I'll put in the optimizer, I'll just say must stack with any two Chiefs.
Yeah, he's got to go with two Burns for sure. You know, one of the rules that I use a flip side rule. I've been doing this a lot lately. We talked about this a little bit last week, but you know, I've looked back on the history and there's essentially no scenario where Kelsey has gone bonkers that Mahomes hasn't done it also. Those two are wildly correlated to the point where I only am really going to use Kelsey in a Mahomes lineup. How do you feel about that, Burns? And how are you kind of attacking Mahomes this week?
You're absolutely correct. You have to have two of any one of his pass catchers in this lineup with him. Kelsey is the number one, and then Juju, and then everyone else below Juju. I make a case that maybe Tony gets more targets this week with Hardman out, but MVS has actually had a pretty good rapport with Mahomes in the past games with him, but it's not a great rapport. And then, you know, you have your rookie Sky Moore. So Mahomes does like to, we've seen it in like showdowns. He does like to actually spread the ball around, but his main target is Kelsey, and he has been taking a liking to Juju. And I've tried to fit both of them into a lineup, and it's really difficult if you want to go up past 6,000 on your running backs. So it makes it really difficult, and you have to pay all the way down to Minnesota for your defense to at least pull it off. But it's doable, but you got to stay in the 50. You got to stay in that 5,000 range on your running backs.
Sadly, I think you can make a Warzone stack too. Get all four of the Warzone players. You throw Mahomes, Kelsey, Juju, and MVS all on the same team. They probably go off on Friday, and then you also go off on Sunday with them. You know,
the Warzone.
Yeah, I guess that's what the chemistry. That's what it started. Was they all play on Fridays, so that started the chemistry between them all.
That's crazy. You know what I was thinking was that Juju. The reason Mahomes started throwing to Juju is because Juju is actually really good friends with Mahomes' brother. They're duetting TikToks together now. They're doing dances and shit.
Oh, gross. I blocked Mahomes' brother on TikTok, so I don't even get on there anymore. But when I was on there, I had to block him. I couldn't stand seeing his face.
You're missing him and Juju doing like they're out there like they're like, yo, Mufasa, everybody dance now, and they're both like doing the dance together. They have a really good duet.
Was Juju the one that had that really awful car when he was a rookie and into his first couple of years in the NFL?
You know, I don't
remember. Was that him?
I do remember that existed as a story, but I don't think it was Juju. Juju's a flashy guy. All right, so we talked a little bit about Mahomes, and one thing I'm going to say about that game is, listen, I don't mind game stacking it a little bit. I do like some of the pieces from the Jaguars. I actually like the Jaguars in that game. I love ETN this week. I like Kirk and Zay and their whole little thing they have going on. Stay away from Evan Ingram, not into the Q tag. Don't like the Q tag. Didn't have many snaps last week. Fucked us a little bit. And it's because of the injury. On that note, be careful of Q tags, guys, in general. This is when these guys are hurt going into the game, it's just such a higher likelihood that we're getting screwed. You know, they try to play, only play 20 snaps. Sick of it. So, you know, unless it's the Patriots and they slap a Q tag on everybody, be careful. But yeah, I do like the other side of that game a little bit with that Jaguars offense. And I don't hate. And one of my sneaky QB plays, going to admit, is Trevor Lawrence, although he is on the chalkboard, so I'm not sure how sneaky that one truly is. But Burns, to one of your points before, you were talking about we got to hang in the 5K running back zone in order to afford Mahomes and Kelsey. And that's really the negative about the Mahomes play in general. I don't want to hang in the 5K zone. The 5K zone is filled with garbage. I don't want any of that shit in my lineup. So for the most part, I think we want to be hanging out with these next two or cheaper QBs, but primarily these next two. So let's talk about Justin Fields first. Justin Fields broke the record for the most rushing yards by an NFL quarterback last week with 178 yards and a touchdown in that game. He threw for 3 more touchdowns. Wow, right? Look at the last 3 weeks. And the salary is still not reflective of the role. Like, he was so ridiculously underpriced last week, it was crazy. But he's still really underpriced here this week. The 6,500, if he's just doing these 24s and 25s, that is 4x value. So I love Fields, and Fields, I think, can be stacked. So let's talk about different ways to approach this game. They're taking on Detroit in the dream matchup. Let's show our statsational tool here real quick. Detroit. So again, let me remind everybody how this tool works. I get a lot of questions, right? This number here, let me get this number on here, the points against column. This implies that quarterbacks that face the Lions score 4 points above average expectation for the position, for the quarterback position. So this chart implies that Fields would put up 4 more points than usual, but also the wide receiver position in general and tight end position and running back, everybody's smashing the Lions. Every position. They're all smashing the Lions, guys. So this is the dream matchup. There's no individual team out that just gets destroyed that badly. So it's like the perfect storm of matchup, opportunity, game projection. It's crazy. It's too much. It's overwhelming me. I feel overwhelmed by it. Got to load up on this game. Burns, what does the Millie Maker Shark Tank numbers say about this one?
Well, I've been having some. I've been thinking about this game in general a lot. I'm more worried about Detroit side of this ball, trying to keep up with Chicago and making Fields have to make all the plays. Can Fields? How does Fields fail, right? That's how we have to look at it. He's 6,500 right now. It's the highest he's ever been in terms of this year. And if we went back last year, I think he wasn't even this high. So he does have paths to failure in this game. One being Detroit, being away from Detroit. We know Detroit's great at home, hence why last week's game was really odd. It was like a 15-6 game with Green Bay. It was really odd.
Green Bay, man. Green Bay,
they suck
points out of you.
Yeah.
That team is like where fantasy production goes to die.
Totally agree. Paths to success in this game is probably going to be where Fields is doing what he did last week and running a lot. He's a great runner with the ball. I remember him with Ohio State. He was a great runner with the ball. A lot of compared him to guys of past, JT Barrett, and I thought he was better than JT Barrett as a quarterback for Ohio State because he had a better arm. He had better command of the offense. He understood the defenses better. He could read the schemes much easier. Barrett was awful. But regardless of the Ohio State, he's starting to get the presence that we've been seeking from him, and Chicago fans have been seeking from him since he came into the NFL. I think him and Mooney have a great connection, and he's going to utilize that. I think the the new toy, the new shiny toy with Chase Claypool. I think you're going to see some play with Chase this week. I think you're going to get some more targets than he did last week. I will be absolutely 100% fading Cole Kmet. I'm not going there.
Yeah,
right?
You got to play him.
No, I'm not me.
Got to play him. Got to play him.
I won't.
Not play him. Telling you.
I just can't. The guy's target share has been so minimal, and then this past week he just blows up. But I think the benefactor, and I'd like to hear from you guys, is probably going to be Claypool this week.
Take a look at last week. So I brought up the matchup sheet here, and last week Claypool only a 35% snap count, but got 22% of the targets. And what happens with another full week in practice with the team? 35% goes up to 60%, right? So 22% goes up to 28%. And now Claypool becomes essentially the, maybe WR2 or WR1 or 1A for this team. That is the evolution of it. Last question, and then I want to throw this over to Big Marley for your thoughts as well. I have a theory on Fields, but the last question is, and my answer, well, I won't give my answer to it. Last question is, stack with one or stack with two?
I think I would just I can stick with one, but I probably would have lineups with two as well.
Yeah, I could see that, but one seems more prudent than two. But you know how he fails, by the way, a big David Montgomery game. No one will play him. And if you want leverage, if you want real leverage, that's where you get it. Big Marley, have you been on the Fields bandwagon?
Last week I was on them, just mainly cash, but my cash lineup was my top GPP lineup of the week too. But that was the only week I've really made it a point. Like I couldn't get away from them. This week, it almost feels the same way. It's these three games kind of smack you right in the face. Like one of these three quarterbacks is going to be in the majority of lineups, it feels like. And I think it's just between Fields and Mahomes for cash. Right now, it's Fields for me. But I wouldn't stack them with two people in GPPs. I guess I won't make it a rule not to. I would prefer one, though, because he had 45 DraftKings points last week, which is great, but he only threw for 123 yards, and that's not going to carry two people along with you the majority of times. So I would just choose between Mooney, who's my favorite, Claypool and GPPs, just hoping that he can catch a long touchdown, and then Kmet as a cheap option, more so as a pivot away from Dulcich or whatever that guy's name is, at the same price. So I wouldn't mind Fields with any one of those, and I feel like that's the rule I would want to make in the optimizer. But it just wouldn't shock me to see, Kmet and one of those receivers make it on there again like they did last week.
I agree with you. I don't think you need to force two. I'm not going to force two because there's such a good chance. Like if basically it took a 48 from Fields last week to carry two of those pass catchers over the finish line. I'm not going in expecting a 48. I'm going in hoping for a 26 plus. And at that level, he's really only carrying one guy with him, if that. So yeah, and I love Darnell. I like Claypool. And just because you guys publicly said you're fading Kmet, now I definitely have to use a little bit of Kmet.
And we only have Kmet at like 5% ownership.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's not. I don't think we have to fade him at 5%,
Now, I want to mention on the flip side of this game, because this is a game and there are two sides to it. I love Amon-Ra here. I wish he was just a smidge cheaper on DraftKings. His price on FanDuel has gotten really, really attractive. I wish he was a smidge cheaper on DraftKings, but Amon-Ra is still he didn't do it last week. And it's like a couple of weeks where he hasn't done it. But the volume is still there. Nothing has really changed at all with Amon-Ra's role. 27% target share last week. This is what you want. You get 30% guys. That's what you want. And Detroit does throw the ball a lot. I think Swift will probably be mostly back this week. I don't mind Swift or Jamal. Not really having much of a preference. But that's about it from this game. I don't really want to go anywhere else. Amon-Ra definitely will be one of my favorite wide receivers on the slate. And if you want to take a guess, I need more information about Swift and Jamal, though. I'm not fully comfortable with it. But yeah, I love this game. I think you build around it. And again, on the note that I said before, so this is more strategic, general. But if I'm going to build, and this is for everybody, if you're building like 20% or 25% of your lineups this week around Fields in that game, like in his pass catcher or one of them, I am not using that pass catcher if Fields isn't in the lineup. So Mooney will be exclusively a with Fields, and same with Claypool. They're exclusively for playing in the Fields lineups because it's bad enough when if they fail, they'll blow up some of the Field lineups. If you spread them around your whole thing, it's just going to have bombs everywhere. So if Fields is crushing, great. I have those guys in my Fields lineups. If he's not, great. I don't have those guys in my non-Fields lineups. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I think it gives your lineups a little more of a handcrafted feel if you're using the optimizer, and I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but I also don't hate Mooney without Fields, to be honest.
I'm just saying, if Mooney's winning you a tournament, isn't Fields winning you a tournament too?
No, because Mooney's priced at 5.5K, which is pretty solid, and I could definitely see him putting up 15 to 20 points and just being like a solid spot in your lineup that helps you get up somewhere else.
What did he get? 17.8? He got 17.8, right?
Last weekend. Like, right. I'm gonna say at that level, he didn't help you win. He just didn't help. He didn't cause you to lose.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like in a Millie Maker lineup, I don't think you got there last week. Like you have to look at it. I'm looking at the extreme.
But I can see like a 20-point Fields day, but Mooney also gets 20, and then Mahomes goes off for 35, and you just need Mahomes with Mooney or something like that.
There are scenarios. There are scenarios for sure. There's a slim, but I
definitely agree with Claypool only in Fields lineups.
Yeah, I just my feeling is just that if Mooney is legitimately helping you win the tournament, not sort of just being a piece that like didn't hurt you, but if he's helping you win it, Fields is going bonkers. Because if he's helping me win it, he needs to score about 25, 27 maybe. So the 17 or 18, that's more like didn't hurt you too bad. It's fine. You know what I mean? But if he's really helping, that I don't know. That's the way I'm looking at it. But you're right. There are going to be scenarios where they'll all fit together.
Well, the winning Millie Maker lineup last week carried 2. Fields carried 2. He carried Kmet and he carried Mooney in the winning lineup.
Definitely. But the flip side was you could have gotten the million and scored more. You did not absolutely need Kmet.
No.
There was another tight end at that price.
And you didn't need Mooney either.
Yeah, you didn't need them. It just was, okay, it worked out. I did not stack him last week. I just let it ride. He was my unstacked quarterback. But, you know, but what I did was I made rules with Mooney and Claypool that if they're in the lineup, it's a Fields lineup. Do you understand? So every Mooney lineup I made had Fields in it, but every Fields lineup I made was not stacked. It didn't have to be. It wasn't necessarily stacked. So I didn't level out the percentages. So it was kind of an interesting way of doing it.
Well, you touched on it earlier, though. Oh, sorry, Marlon.
No, you're good. I actually had a question for you. What do you plan on doing with Fields? Do you think you'll go overweight to the field? Because I can make a case on fading him. I mean, he had his first 3 touchdown passing game of the year. So 1 for 9, getting 3 touchdowns. And then he broke the record in rushing. Like, those are obviously not going to happen every week. And if he's going to be the chalk this week, I just think there's a lot of ways we can get away from that.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. I mean, it could very well happen in a lot. And what do we have as his expected ownership? 15%. It's going to be in and around what, 15 to 25%, you think?
Not 25. You don't
think he'll get that high?
No.
Okay. This is kind of where I'm kind of landing on this. Like I really like the running game on Chicago Sod. I know it's a two-headed beast and you can pick your poison with it, but they're both really low salaried guys where you can almost have like a 10% ownership in both guys, right? You could have 10% in Herbert and 10% in Monty, and it won't actually hurt or kill your lineups terribly. Now, if you're playing 150, that's 15 of each guy. you could lower it to 5%. It's whatever you want to do with your lineups. But I think that it could fail. Like Fields could fail in this spot. He's not up until about, I don't know if you pull up his game log again, Kev. It was up until about 3 weeks ago where he was having hardships.
Yeah, this guy was garbage. Listen, he was garbage for scoring, and real garbage.
I really think he's the guy this week that is, how much do I play him? Do I play him field weight? Do I go under? And if he fails, all my lineups aren't going to blow up.
You know, I feel like it's not field weight because the field weight includes every single quarterback. Like, do you really want to play Matt Stafford this week? Like, are you doing that? I'm not. So like, I'm not playing
not in the game environment that it is, and with the over under going lower and lower every day.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. So Fields is going to be heavily owned, but in the Millie Maker, he's not going to be that heavily owned because QBs never are. So when you say field weight, if I went field weight and just went 15% in the Millie Maker, that for me would be kind of like fading him. I'd be like, oh wow, I went, or 10% or 12%. I'd be like fading. Why? Because I wasn't planning on using 17 quarterbacks.
Right.
I'm planning on using like 5 or 6.
Well, our fading is we're just going to lower our exposure to him. Less than the field or in and around what the field is. We don't call fading unless it's like David or Derek Carr, right?
Yeah, that's a different story.
That's a different story. So when we fade somebody, we lower. Under.
Yeah. Or be a little below the field or a little above the field or a lot above the field. So
right.
I considered fading him in the mini max, but he's definitely going to be in my cash. And if not my cash, he'll be in one of my three entry maxes. So I'm going to have my exposure to Fields, but I just feel like a contest like the mini max, when you got 100,000, 200,000 people that you're going against, I don't mind just taking shots on these other quarterbacks that we could talk about if you want to, but Mahomes is my top. He's the guy. If I have to choose between these two, who I want leverage on, I would rather take like 40% Mahomes rather than 20 of each.
Got to play that on FanDuel where you don't have to pay the penalty.
I just hate FanDuel.
I get it.
I actually pulled my money off.
There goes our sponsor, FanDuel. Sign up for FanDuel, promo code Army, but forget it. It's gone. I'll shut that one down.
No, I love that. I love that take, Kyle. Going with 40% Mahomes when he's only like going to be about 14 to 15% owned by the field. I mean, that's a massive take right there, and I love it. And I don't even mind going a little bit over with Tua versus Fields this week. I'm just a little apprehensive with Fields. I know we've been on Fields a lot this year, and
I don't feel like we're bandwagon jumping, Burns. I feel like we've been on this.
We have, and I'm just a little apprehensive on the game environment with Detroit being away from Detroit. That's my only apprehension. Otherwise, he's a good play.
Guys, let us know in the comments who your favorite quarterback play is, who your favorite quarterback stack is, and ideally outside of the big three. We're going to talk about the number 3 of the big 3 here, but ideally outside of that big 3, who's your favorite stack? And just my last note on Fields, like I said, I almost think that if it's against Detroit in the dream matchup, you can't ask for a better matchup. You can't ask for a better scene. None of it. So if you're going to do that, you damn well better have Montgomery in your lineup, because like if you're doing that on purpose, you better get some exposure. And also make that rule: do not mix Montgomery with Fields. They do not belong together. Have some of that, because Montgomery scores 3 touchdowns. That's where Fields fails. That's the game. Fields still runs for 60. He still throws for his usual shit, but they end up scoring. Montgomery gets 2, Herbert gets 1, and maybe Fields even gets 1, but he only gets you a 15 or a 16 for that game. Absolutely something that could happen. So if that's happening, it's probably because one of those running backs or two is going bananas. Remember, this is Detroit. Forget the game last week. And people talk about last week, shut down by Green Bay. Shut down Green Bay. No, Green Bay shut itself down, Dusty.
Yeah.
Detroit didn't shut down Green Bay. Fucking Aaron Rodgers and that shitty ass group of wide receivers is what shut down Green Bay. That's what's going on over there. They can't score no matter who the hell they're going up against. It's not that Detroit evolved into a great defense. You know, did the Panthers evolve into a great defense last night, or did Mariota suck? Because I'm pretty sure it was the latter.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always that. So let's keep it in perspective. All right. The next big QB, and it's another guy that this has been my guy that I've been on, I feel like, since the first week of the season. And he's been doing me right. Tua. Listen, he's got a catchphrase, guys. If you get a catchphrase, that's a thing. Like, what more can I? If I give you a nickname or a catchphrase, we want to play that guy. Tua's got a catchphrase. Tua with Tua. And it has been spectacular what he has done this year. Let's take a look at this matchup, right? So Miami, let's bring this bad boy up on the screen.
You could almost contend that this is an even better matchup for the quarterback than with Detroit.
I don't know about better, but
I don't know, with Chicago, the elements up there in Chicago change all the time.
So let's see here. Cleveland has been particularly bad against the running back position, allowing 4 points above average expectations. Right? Suck. They're not bad against the wide receiver or the quarterback position, so I'm going to give them that.
They're fairly confident,
yeah. It's not like on paper. It's not like the crazy man. And yeah, Bobby knows what's up. Bobby's using the sheet, by the way. We'll get to that, but that is correct. So, but here's the thing, Tua, it doesn't matter what the matchup is. This kid, what he's doing right now is elite quarterback play. He's only throwing to two guys, and this is actually a better matchup for Waddle. Waddle gets the plus spot, which is crazy.
Yep.
You saw that too, with the cornerback matchup, Burns, who studies that. So the matchup is actually better for Waddle than Hill, but Hill is such a beast, you can't not play him. And I think that Tua needs both of them going off for him to win us the tournament. Like, Tua has been the GPP nuts quarterback, I think 3 or 4 times already this year. I think it was 3 times so far.
Yeah.
All 3 times, Burns, it was both Waddle and Tyreek Hill in the lineup with him. It's starting to get expensive to build a lineup that way, though.
Well, Hill's 9,100 on DraftKings this week, and that's almost in the territory of no-go. Like, I do not remember a wide receiver in excess of $9,000 that has been in a winning Millie Maker lineup. I can't remember.
I'd like to see that research. It's something
I could probably pull it. It's just been a long time.
It's something, Big Marley, that I've talked about with the price of the wide receiver. I've been talking about how Cooper Kupp all year, especially when he was 9,900. I was like, as much as I love Cooper Kupp, no one loves Cooper Kupp more than me. Love Cooper Kupp, but he needs a 40. He needs a 40 DraftKings points just to keep you on pace, and that's not easy to do. He'll do that once a year, so that's a 1 in 16, 1 in 17 outcome. And the same thing goes for Tyreek. He's already done it, actually, a few too many times, but he needs a 36, 38 to keep pace. Definitely can do it, but man, that's asking a lot, and it's going to be hard for him to hurt us, because at that salary, he really needs to go up into the 40s before he's hurting you. But that being said, I think if you're playing Tua, you kind of have to just suck it up. Play both those guys, but Waddle for me is the priority stack over Tyreek because of the salary savings. Dak against the Pan. Oh my God, Ellinger has shown us. So Ricky's asking, what about Dak or Ellinger? So my 2 things here are Dak is literally, the Packers are poison for fantasy production. Can't imagine a worse team to want to play players against, because they're just so slow, and so they just drain the clock. And then Ellinger hasn't shown a damn thing. I would love to like Ellinger, but he's just shown that he's a 0. And so, we tried, but he's got 2 weeks of, I guess in crazy GPP, I'd be cool with Ellinger, but he's shown us nothing. It's just hope and prayer and nothing else for me. I get the Mike McCarthy revenge thing, but no, I'm not down with Dak. We'll get to the running back position where I want to talk about Pollard a little bit and what are my feelings on that. But as far as Dak, no.
Well, Green Bay's stout. They're a stout defense against the pass.
If you look, I mean, these numbers for the Packers, they just say don't play anybody. 5 fewer points per game allowed to the quarterback. 7. I mean, they're up there. This is poison for opposing offenses, guys. So when you look at this sheet, which is pinned to my channel in the Discord, and you look at the left side and the points against, you want to find red numbers. That means a lot of points are scored. You know Houston sucks versus the run, but did you know they're giving up 9.5 points per game above mean expectations to opposing running backs? That's what this shows us. Chargers second worst team. So you can quickly identify which teams to target, what kind of players against. And with the Packers, you don't want to target anybody against them. You just want to not do that. Oh, of course, I got my cursor on the wrong screen, so you don't see that I'm pointing at these things. Oops. But you don't want to play anybody against them. With this Tua Cleveland game, let's talk about bringbacks. Big Marley, do you feel like this needs to be a game stack? You're bringing it back with the People's wide receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones, or a little Chubb, 1990 Chubb rock?
It's going to be too hard to afford Chubb if you're stacking Tua and Hill and Waddle. So I definitely think Peoples-Jones makes the most sense because he's 4,300, big play upside. He only has to catch one long pass to pay that off, really. So he would be my favorite one. And then Cooper as well. I think he's in play. But I just feel like all the game stacks are going to lead to similar lineups, and it just kind of takes me off of it. I would rather just take minis, use one player from each game, and you could do that multiple ways. You could take Chubb, Peoples-Jones, Cooper, one of those 3, and then stack them with either Hill or Waddle. But those are the only 5 players I'm interested in, and I'm more so interested in the minis. And I think I'll just take Tua out of my mini max, like I might end up doing. Man, if Fields wasn't playing the Lions, it would be easier to do that.
It's going to be just Mahomes?
Yeah, I want Mahomes in like half my lineups, to be honest with you. And then there's some other quarterbacks that I'm interested in, like maybe 5% and just throwing them all in.
Yeah, Njoku is out. He's out this week.
Yeah. I wish Njoku was playing. I
knew it was bullshit, by the way. I it's funny. You got to read the words that the guys are saying. You got to read between the lines. When the player says, "Oh, I'm definitely playing this week," and he hasn't practiced yet, and it's Friday, he's not playing. I knew he wouldn't play. I have Njoku in a lot of my leagues. I was like, I'm picking up Dolchik. He was never going to play. So that covers the prime 3 quarterbacks for this week's slate. But there are some other ones, right? Mm-hmm. We don't normally just play the obvious ones. So I now want to go around here and give me a non-big 3 QB that you're playing. I will give you a very quick rundown of, I'm not playing Kyler Murray. He's got a Q tag. That's a bad thing. And he's up against a tough defense. I'm out. Dak, I'm out. I don't play anybody against the Packers. Out. Bills, I'm out. Russell Wilson sucks, but I'll allow it if one of you guys want to play him. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers, no. So this whole group here, outside of the big 3, the only one that I might, and I'm out on him, but I want to see if you guys like him. But the only one who I might even be mildly open to is Russell Wilson, exclusively for the matchup.
Yeah, that was who I was going to pick, actually.
Is it Russ? Yeah, good. That's fine. I said I will allow it. Big Mar, I said I'll allow it. So I'll go to you, Big Mar.
I got 8 other names, so we're good.
You got some others?
I got a couple too, but I'll let Marley go if he doesn't take my 2. But yeah.
First of all, I got to address this question, the most important question of all. DFS Army. Get signed up. Go check it out. All of my cheat sheets, all of us, Big Burns, Big Marley's tiers notes, Burns with the shark. Everything's at DFS Army. We've got a Discord. Everybody gets together. We strategize together. We talk DFS non-stop. So go check out dfsarmy.com. Sign up for our Discord. By the way, We even have a free month thing. You right here. You click on this free offer. Boom. There's all these ways. Sign up a Monkey Knife Fight, Prize Picks, own any one of these sites. You just sign up, make a deposit, get a free month DFS Army, follow the instructions, make sure you do it. Do it now. And like, subscribe, notification bell. I got to always remember to say all that stuff. So, oh my God, why? Why would you do this, Ricardo? No. We don't play anyone against the Bills when we don't have to. Like, I'm forced to do it on a showdown. We don't have to do it. We got guys in good matchups. Don't fuck with the Bills. That is going to lose you money.
Especially with Tre'Davious White back. Oh my goodness.
It's not even that. It's the Bills. It's the Bills.
They're just so much better now.
There are certain look at this. Okay, so the field is once again apparently going to play Derek Carr in lineups. They love throwing away money in Millie Makers. That's fine. This guy, it's been since 2019 that he's been a part of a Millie Maker winning lineup. You want to keep waiting for that day. Good for you. I think you're better off playing fucking backup quarterbacks that might turn into a starter because of an injury than you would be playing this motherfucker in Millie Maker lineups. Stop doing that. Right? Why would anybody play Jacoby Brisket in a Millie Maker lineup? This guy has never done anything to give you any indication that he will win you a tournament. It's just a waste of lineups. And the worst of all might be Matthew Stafford, who hasn't crossed 15 fantasy points this year, sacked nonstop against a good defense in Arizona that can get to the quarterback. Have you lost your goddamn minds? Don't do that. As a matter of fact, let other people do it. You watch the tournament tactics, you're like, fuck, I was going to play those assholes. Now I'm not going to because Geek said, stay away. Oh, I save money. No one talks about the money you save them by telling them off a player. It's only when I said play a guy who sucks, they're like, oh, you cost me. Well, what about the money I saved you by telling you not to play these guys? At least you had a chance. All right. Where was I? The only one here that I think is viable is Trevor Lawrence, T-Law. And lock in Ellinger. That was 2 weeks ago, bro. In fairness, Lawrence will, I think this guy, it's the best matchup he's going to have, right? It's as good as it gets. Big Marley, he's going to have to throw a lot. They're up against the Chiefs, your boy, Pat Mahomes. So how are you going to keep up with Pat Mahomes? How are you going to keep up with Pat Mahomes, right? You got to throw. And you got to throw early and you got to throw often. I like Trevor Lawrence as my alternate. But here's the other part about the Trevor Lawrence play that I like. And this is really, really important. I don't want to play Trevor Lawrence if he's the same price as Fields and Tua and those other guys because they're much better plays. But because he's cheaper and we're saving $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 in salary over those other guys, now I don't even need to beat the scores of those elite quarterbacks. I just need to come close. Burns, I assume that Trevor Lawrence is on your list. He's not favored, but seems to be in a good spot. Like, do you X out a guy like that? I know the Shark Lab does not like underdog road quarterbacks, or actually doesn't like underdog home quarterbacks. Maybe road underdogs a little better.
Yeah, I mean, is he home? He's home this week because I thought he was on the road. Kansas City's at home, right?
K-Sizzles. I believe they're at home for this one. Let me go.
Yeah, Kansas City's at home this week.
Yeah.
So he's on the road. Lawrence could be a good play. I'm not sure if I'll get to him or not, but he could be a good play. The guy where I was going to go with is, and I wasn't sure Kyle was going to touch on him. Here's one that I could see actually working out because he actually does use he uses his legs and a lot of the offense, is Danny Dimes this week, and pairing him up with no one else but Saquon Barkley, and that's your stack.
Oh man. Yeah, I hear you. I feel it, and
he could actually pass to Barkley. I know Houston's actually pretty decent against the quarterback, and they're pretty decent against the wide receivers and tight ends, but or fairly competent against tight ends, and garbage against running backs. I just like the fact that he could run one in for a touchdown here. He could get it to the tight end here with a quick pass in the end zone, and he could also hit Barkley as well. It's not a great play by any stretch, but when you get off of the top 3 games, right, what do you have?
Nothing looks good.
Exactly.
I will tell you the truth, Burns. Jones did make my original list. I might have deleted him because then I was like, what are they really going to fucking throw it when Barkley's here and it's such a good matchup for the running back? Like, why would you throw it? So
they're home. They're home, and Giants are actually pretty competent at home. So, but yeah, he was one, and then the other guy where I was thinking, because the fact that Pittsburgh is so bad against the wide receivers, is Dalton a little bit, not much.
Dalton is that sneaky play.
A very small amount of Dalton, not a lot, just a small amount, and you should be okay. And I like Chris Olave in that game, but the benefactor that I really, when we get to the next section, I'll talk about it.
Yeah. Now, Big Marl. So where are you going as we're getting away from the big 3? Where are you going at quarterback, or do you bother? Are you even bothering? You're like, fuck it, I don't want to. I'm just playing Mahomes. If Julio Jones was on this team, I'd play Mahomes to Jones, and that'd be it.
So I haven't made my lineups yet, but I have my player pool narrowed down for the most part. I have, what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 10, maybe 11 quarterbacks in here. The big 3 are in there. Mahomes being my favorite, but Fields probably my favorite for cash. And then the Daniel Jones move, I don't mind that for cash games. If you can't get up to Fields, just him and Barkley in the same lineup and try and lock down all their points. But I'm off of Daniel Jones at 8% ownership. I X'd him out of my player pool. I don't like Dalton because Taysom Hill can come in there and steal too many snaps next to the end zone. So I got both of them out of there. And in my head, I'm looking at 50% Mahomes and then 5% of the rest of these guys. And except for Tua and Fields, all these other guys, I would make a rule where I want 2 people stacked with them. And they're your favorite Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins also, Kenny Pickett, Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Brissett, and Russell Wilson. Those are all the guys in my
You want Brissett.
And if they're going to get there, they're probably bringing 2 people along. So I think all those people have at least 2 people that can catch the ball that I'm interested in. So that's why I kept them in my player pool.
I'm telling you, everybody's spot on here. It's funny that no one is going. I really was like expecting somebody maybe to go with like the more expensive guys, a Dak or Kyler Murray. But realistically, I think if you only played the 3 bigs, you're probably okay this week. My alternate guy, like I said, I have a hard time liking Dak in that spot. Kirk Cousins, no. Russ, it should be Russ because that's the best QB wide receiver matchup on the entire slate almost. But it's Russ. He's fat. He doesn't go to the bathroom. He's got the weird things that he does. He sucks now. You heard the thing about the no bathroom burns? That's real. I saw the video.
It's funny, man.
I saw the video. He only goes twice a week.
That's awesome.
And then he claims that the bloat is extra padding, protects the body. Like, are you fucking crazy, bro?
It's his wifey, man. She's putting an X on that bathroom.
Did he marry Yoko Ono?
She might be close.
Is that what's going on here? Like, what is up with that? I have no idea what's going on with that. And he sucks now. I have him on dynasty teams. You know how torturous it is to watch a guy who you love, who you had since he was a rookie. You're like, me and you together, 5'7" motherfuckers. Let's do this. Like, we're going to take on the world together. And then he just started sucking, and now I'm sad. So, all right. Yeah, that's it. QB position.
Yeah, we're done. We nailed it.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk running back because running back is really, really interesting. And one of the things actually I wanted to give a broad overview of, probably should have done this at the beginning, was I've noticed that it's week 10, and I think everybody else will start to notice this as well, especially on DraftKings. The salaries are starting to become correct. And that's a good thing and a bad thing all at the same time. There are no bargains out there. There are no special deals. There's no gimmies. There's no accidentally underpriced players right now. And even the middling salary, even the regular players are all being priced appropriately to their ceiling, to their floor. So it's becoming harder and harder to play studs and duds and that style of narrative. You really have to get more middling with the approach. And so as we turn to the running back position, I want to note that, I want to play freaking the most expensive guys. I want to play Saquon. I want to play Kamara, all the most expensive ones, and Jacobs and all that. But know that it's harder to pay up this. It's harder to pay up this week. So even Saquon Barkley, who is in the ultimate running back matchup, good luck, finding 8,600 to get him into a lineup. Burns, have you started making lineups yet? Have you crafted actual lineups?
Handcrafting. Yep. I always handcraft first. Yeah.
Yeah. It is not easy to squeezy in some Barkley. Like, you put Barkley in there, you're like, wait, who's the 4K wide receiver that I need to jam in here to make this work? People Jones, you can only play so much of these guys. So be aware of that. So my goal this week was to really discover running backs that are kind of in the middle zone of salary that I feel good about. And I'm going to tell you, there ain't that many of them.
No, there's not.
So I'm going to go through it, guys. Big Marley, do we got to talk about Barkley? I think he's up against Houston at home as a favorite. I'll just mention this one stat.
He's great cash game play. If you can afford him, go for it. But yeah, I like other plays more. Running back is where I'm getting different this week for the most part. If I'm eating 50% Mahomes, I got to do something. And I think running back's where I'm going to differentiate my lineups from everybody else. So I won't be able to get too much Barkley.
You are not getting any Barkley with Mahomes. I promise you. That is not happening. That combination, they will not go together. It's not going to happen. Right? I love Barkley. I love Barkley as a favorite. Barkley has one of the greatest favorite underdog splits of any player in the NFL. There's a few players like that, but running backs, Burns, this all comes back to your research. We talk about it all the time. Take favored running backs, guys. Take favored running backs, unless they're a pass catching sort of dynamo type that's going to be in the game the whole time, no matter what. But generally take favored running backs. Saquon Barkley averaging over 26 fantasy points per game when his team is favored, and when they're underdog, it's something like 14. It is a massively different outlook for him when he's not favored, and he has the dream matchup against Houston. It's just too good to be true. Derrick Henry, this is, you want to talk about leverage? You want to talk about leverage? No one's playing Derrick Henry. It's not a good matchup. It's a 37-point game total. It's disgusting. Denver's not that good against running backs. Like, if you can run on Denver, you can't throw on them, but you could run. Tennessee doesn't mind. They don't throw the football. They're like, we don't care. We have good pass defense. Good for you. We don't throw it. So you can't. These two guys. I'm taking us through the quick ones. Nick Chubb, to me, is never playable on DraftKings. He has not yet been part of a nuts lineup. I think once earlier this season. He's doing great. He'll probably have another great game. He'll probably get us 25 fantasy points again, and it's still not enough. 8, 16, 24. I need 32, Burns. I need 32.
Yeah, you do.
It's that simple. I don't play him. Big Marley, you're a big Nick Chubb guy or no?
No, not a big Nick Chubb guy. I did play him in my single entry the 1 week that he went off at super low ownership, but the rest of my lineup sucked. So kind of
he was still 7K that week also, by the way. I remember that week. And the best part about Chubb was he was still 7K. So when he went off, the 32 got you 5X, right? But even that week I had said he needs to get you 3 touchdowns, but he did. He got the 3. He got the third one. I believe that it's better with Nick Chubb just to bet on Nick Chubb 2+ touchdowns.
And I mean, he won't be in, my single entry or even 3 entry max lineups for me this week, but he will be in my player pool, and I'll make a rule that Waddle or Tyreek Hill is in that lineup also. I just really like the lower owned running backs this week, and no one's going to be on Chubb, so that's what I like about it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And yeah, he will not be owned. Dalvin Cook, another one that will not be owned for good reason. I am not touching that. So here we get to the zone of usable for me, usable running backs. And the first one it starts with here is Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be a combination, Big Marl, of kind of low ownership, but massive upside. Let's take a look at the chalkboard and see where. Oh, no, not low. All right. We'll see. 16%. So we kind of have him right in the middle of the pack. Josh Jacobs' volume has not declined at all since the 39 and 33 point and 37 point games. Volume not that different, but we're back to being a heavy favorite. I'm looking for heavy favorites. Burns says Josh Jacobs, I assume, is exploding off your sheet.
Oh yeah, he does weekly and I like the fact that he's home this week too. In Las Vegas is favored. Home favorites are a very good indicator in winning Millie Maker lineups. So I have looked at 18 Millie Maker contests this year. I look at the high entry dollar ones, the 4,000, the $500 ones, the $100 ones, the 20s, the 5s. I look at them all, and so far there's been 18 contests this year. 43 running backs in all 8. These are just winning Millie Maker first place lineups. I don't look at anything else. I don't really care about anything else. I just want the first place guys. 43 running backs. Out of those, 92% home favored running back is in the winning Millie Maker lineups. So if you do anything, just on your optimizer, check home favored, and you're good.
We came up with a concept years ago. It's so funny that you're proving out a lot of these things. Chopadong does an article / video every week called Box Checkers, right? And that's something that me and Chop dreamt up maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
It's a great article.
And it simplifies things, right? It makes it simple. It's like, is this guy home? Is he favored? It was like, does he check all the boxes for us? And if they do, it's like, yeah, this is going to be a great play. And one of the big box checker things was home favored running backs. Like that was the big one. Similar for defenses, actually. And it's amazing to see that it's really continuing to hold true that these home favored running backs, I mean, that, it makes sense just to target those guys. You want running backs from winning teams, which flies in the face of one of the guys that I'm going to mention in a minute.
I know where you're going with that.
Yeah, I got to figure that one out with you because I don't know. But Big Marley, where are you going for your high end outside of the Barkley zone? We're in this middling zone. We talked about Jacobs. We like Jacobs. You tell me your feelings there, but who else are you on in this zone here?
So for like cash, I like ETN, I like Henry, I like Barkley, I like Kamara. Those are all, I'd say, the chalky top end running backs, solid floors, high ceilings. But in GPPs, I'm just looking to get a little bit different. So I'm cool with Chubb. I'm cool with Cook. I'm cool with Taylor. I'll probably have more of those guys than most of that chalky range, to be honest with you, just to get different. Nobody's going to be on Taylor with him coming back. They're going to be, I want to see it first. And when you see it, it's too late. Then everyone's going to be on it that next week. So I want to get on it when nobody is on it. So Taylor's fine with me. I don't want him and Jacobs in the same lineup, so I'll make a rule for that. But I like Jacobs as well. Cook, especially if Allen is out, I would imagine the Vikings might move into favorites if that's the case. It's just easy correlation with Vikings defense with Cook. The Bills, I think they let the Jets run for like 5.6 yards per run last week. Cook had the most usage of any running back. I think he was on the field for 86% or so of snaps last week. He's getting this workhorse role. He can get worked in the pass game as well. So Cook is going to be my contrarian play of the week. Actually, he'll be the guy that I'm like quadrupling the field on this week.
So you'll have like 5% exposure.
I'd say that's where he'll be on. So I want like 20, to be honest with you. I want a lot of Cook this week. He's like my flag plant, if you will. But more so if Allen is out, to be honest with you. And that's probably more for my field lineups. I don't know if I can get Cook with a lot of Mahomes, but I just like him in general.
You can count on Allen being out. That's not going to change. That he's not playing this week.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think them being favored by 3 points indicates that he's playing hurt this week.
No, I think they just win with the backup.
I would like the Vikings if Keenum's in there, to be honest with you.
I still like the Bills. Yeah, I mean, they moved the line from -10 to -3.
Yeah, that's a healthy Josh Allen to playing with your elbow's fucked, buddy. But if you want to play, you're not going to fuck it up anymore.
How dumb would they be? Why would they do that to him?
Well, it's like, I mean, it's going to hurt every time you throw a pass. But if you can handle it, then you'll just get your surgery after the season, and we'll worry about it then.
A Super Bowl team should not do that. They should just let him have a couple weeks.
But I don't know if it's a couple week injury. I think it's probably like it might be you need surgery. So do you want to do that now and miss the season, or do you want to hold it off and deal with the pain?
Good call. So yeah, don't know.
I think we're getting a 23-point Josh Allen fucked up elbow in there.
Dude, if this elbow thing derails what is one of the most complete teams I've ever seen in the National Football League, and I say this with all sincerity, I don't think I've ever seen a team that is this good on offense and defense like what we're seeing with the Bills. They're so dominant. Yeah, I get they lost to the Jets, but fucking,
and the Eagles.
Yeah, I feel bad for Bills Mafia fans if he ends up hurt and out, because this could be their year where they go.
This is their year. It's already been predetermined. It has to be their year. If he legitimately gets hurt, that would be so messed up. All right, well, whatever though. I'm not Bills Mafia. I don't really care, but it sucks for them. All right.
Got a question for you. Do we know about DeAndre Swift's status this week?
Yeah, so that's a good one to address. Here's what we know. They have removed his questionable tag, and he is now good to go. But the coach and the player have both said, I'm playing hurt. We're working him in. We're taking our time. We're taking it slow. And basically gave us a bunch of buzzwords that means we're not going to feed this kid any volume.
Okay.
So in my notes for Swift, because I addressed this, like this would be the greatest matchup. It would be such a good spot. I want to play him so bad.
I know. That's why I asked. I really like him a lot. But if they're going to put a
Josiah, get in here, man. It's not the same without you, bro. I don't care that you're in a hurricane. We don't mind. We'll take the wind noises.
But if he's going to be, put on they're going to control his snap count, right?
They are. They're still doing it. We don't know. So what I said was this, Burns.
Jamal Williams would be a really good spot at 5.9K.
Maybe. That's right. But we don't know. Or they're not going to do that. So it's all a fucking guess. So what I think is going to happen with Detroit is they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you in advance of the game. Now, Swift is fine now, and we're going to give him 19 touches today, and he's going to explode. Like
for 30.
What's that?
For 30.
Yeah, 32. Like go nuts for it's a great matchup, and there aren't very many running backs this week to choose from. So you're like, yeah, I would love to have the option, especially at that price. There's nothing going on. We gotta go through these, but yeah, he's still showing a Q tag here, but he does not have an injury designation. More playing to only 10 snaps. This is too dangerous. 10 snaps last week. So if they raise him up to 15 or 22, that's still, I need 35, 40%. I need 50, 60, 70% of the snaps.
Right.
Absolutely not. So I think you can't play Swift outside of crazy tournaments. So, but not knowing what his deal is kind of keeps me off of Jamal Williams too, because I don't really know.
Jamal Williams had 24 carries last week in a revenge game, and he only scored 10 DraftKings points. So I don't think we have to worry too much about him.
No, we do, because that was that Green Bay again. Don't fuck with the Packers. Let's learn that lesson. The takeaway isn't Jamal sucks. The takeaway for me from that one was do not play anyone against the Packers. They are where fantasy points go.
He's just too touchdown dependent, and Swift is too. You need a 50-yard touchdown dependent.
Most RB ramp ups for this take 4+ games. He's too deep. Listen, I agree. So here are some other names. Alvin Kamara, hell to the for Kamara.
That was the
right?
guy. That's who I was talking about when we were talking about the quarterbacks section. Kamara, Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, I looked at his target share to the running back. He's got the highest target share of any quarterback to the running back this week. So where my stacks with Dalton would be is going to be Olave and Kamara. I'm doing both of them. I understand what Kyle was saying with Taysom Hill doing the vulturing, but I really like that trio stack.
You mentioned Olave, and I want to just show the biggest number on our points against chart of any team right here for any position.
That's right.
The Steelers. So again, I will explain this again because I have to always explain how the sheet works. The Steelers are allowing 12 more fantasy points per game than average to opposing wide receivers. Now, this is an adjusted rate, adjusted for opponent quality. So 12 fantasy points. It's so much more than the next most is Atlanta with 8. Like they're 50% more fantasy points per game to wide receivers than the second best team. So I don't know what more anybody could ever ask for. This, you have to play wide receivers against Pittsburgh, and Olave is good anyway because he's fucking Olave.
Landry's back at 4.5K this week.
If he is back, do you know that for sure?
Yeah,
I heard that he's
injury
back.
Designation.
Yes.
There's your 4K dude.
That is your 4K wide. That is the 4K wide receiver we've all been dreaming of. So that is great news. That is great news. So yeah, a Landry back, although he'll get injured on the first, not gonna make it through the game. Let's not go nuts. All right, let's continue with these running backs here. And guys who are watching, who are your favorite trio of running backs? Give us your favorite chalk 3. Give me a couple and give me a couple of pivots. Somebody we're like, oh wow, yeah, I don't think of him. Where you're like, oh, okay. And give us your sneaky Millie Maker sort of pivots. But pop those in the comment section. I always read all the comments. Okay, so Kamara, yes, please, right? Did not have a great game the other day, but I feel like they're not using Kamara is why they lost, and they look like shit doing it. So maybe they'll smarten up. Aaron Jones is a big no for me. I'm just not going there. And it's worse with the Q tag. But one guy I do like a lot is Travis Etienne. We've been on the Etienne bandwagon ever since they traded away Robinson. I don't think a slight salary bump makes any difference. Look at the defense against here for KC. Look at the defense against here for KC. 30th place. Let's go to the sheet here and just kind of get their true number because the DVP is a fake kind of number. But you see here, they are below average, allowing 1.5 more points per game to opposing running backs than the mean. So, Burns, it breaks a rule for you.
Which one with Kamara?
Yeah, no, Travis Etienne is definitely not favored. He's a pretty big underdog.
Well, I'll give you one on that. Actually, to tell you the truth, I actually do like Etienne. Away dogs. Okay, so the home favorites are 92%, but the away dogs are actually 53%. So if you want to stick in range, you stick with the home favorites and the away underdogs, and you'll be right as rain because the reason why I think it has to do with salary. Most of your away dogs are lower in salary, and we need those pivots. So.
I feel like DraftKings has done a lot less of adjusting for the matchup, the salary. There was a time a couple of years ago where every price was heavily skewed for the match. Remember when they were doing that?
Yep.
And that kind of ruined researching slates because You just have to look at who's like they basically revealed it for you by changing the salary, and it'd be like, oh, this guy's gonna go. Oh yeah, I guess DraftKings realized that. Remember that they stopped doing that though. That is not what they're not doing that anymore, which is nice. It brought back like analyzing the slate a little bit. Big Marley, Tony Pollard. I don't think Zeke is going to play.
I already was.
I thought he was supposed to.
I already was.
Are they saying now he's going to play? Questionable. Yeah, Jerry Jones said it. He was a limited participant, active but in a smaller role. Okay, I actually I think I like it better with Zeke playing.
I won't have all the ownership.
Yeah, I think I might like. But what I wanted to mention about Pollard, and this is a little disturbing in a way. We got super lucky, is what I'm saying, because I had 100% Tony Pollard last week. I had him in every lineup, right? This week, he gets the dreaded Green Bay matchup, which, right? That's never good. On top of that, Pollard did not get more work last week than he had normally got. Barely. He just got a little bit more work. So it wasn't significant. Like Pollard normally gets about 36% of the snaps. He got of the touches, he got 48%, which is a decent little, like that's not as much of a bump as you would hope. He's been a 47% snap share guy. He got 53. Like he's on the field. They didn't raise his workload. He just got a miraculous 3 touchdowns to save us. But I was all in on Tony Pollard, and thank goodness, because he smashed. But even the targets, like they weren't there last week. So I actually think I like Pollard better now that Zeke is playing, like a gimpy Zeke, because they won't be thinking about let's not overwork Pollard. They're thinking, oh, Zeke is kind of hurt. Let's not give him too much work. You know what I'm saying? Like this is from The Princess Bride. We're going to play Pollard and Zeke, and then I'm going to play him more. Like it's like a psychological mind game going on here.
Yeah, I don't really care about like what their game plan is. I would only like him more because he won't be 40% owned with Zeke there. He'll be 5% owned.
Super low owned. And, the upside is going to be there. Although I don't love this matchup. I like Dallas to win this game, though, handily. So maybe it's not a bad matchup.
Yeah, I don't hate Pollard. In my like Mahomes or Fields or Tua lineups.
You have to have these kind of guys in there. One interesting. So I got to address Dameon Pierce, and he's not questionable anymore. The chalkboard has Dameon Pierce as the highest owned.
Really?
And I don't even understand this one bit. You want to hear something fascinating? I was watching one of the YouTube bros breakdown of the slate. And he said, and this is like a known personality, and in his breakdown, he claimed that the Giants are like bottom 5 in the league against the run, which I found bizarre because they're definitely not that. They're nowhere near that. They're one of the best teams against the run in the league. So I'm like, is there some bad information out there? Because the person who I was watching is generally pretty well researched, or they're not necessarily the best team, but they are above average in fantasy points allowed to the position. And when you use the adjusted rankings, like what we have, and even if you just go to like the DraftKings DVP number, they're 10th. So I don't know where that number was gotten from. Is there like a false perception that it's a good matchup for Pierce is what I'm asking.
I think it's an awful matchup.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
I don't love the matchup. I love the price and the usage.
Yes.
So my plan with Pierce is I probably use him in my cash game lineup. He seems to be a lock for 20 touches. He's been getting, 15 to 20 points the last 5 or 6 weeks. So I think I'll use him in my cash game lineup and then just get away from him in GPPs, especially if he's going to be 25% owned. I'll just X him out of the mini max. I'll throw whatever, like my cash game lineup as one of those 150 lineups. But that'd be the only exposure I get to him if he is 25% owned.
This is it. I mean, leave it to Fish. So the DVOA number is where that perception is coming from, because it's not anything that's happened in terms of on the field. They're allowing fewer points per game than average.
Yeah, I see where he's getting it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a DVOA. I don't know where. Like I said, I don't know what they're using to calculate that DVOA, because
they're using the adjusted line yardage. Giants are 30th in the league with adjusted line yards. They're actually giving up 5.01 yards from the scrimmage. So
interesting, though, that it hasn't led to quality performances by opposing running backs or anything like that. So, yeah. All right, there it is. Because I was wondering, like I said, the person that I was watching is generally well researched. So I'm like, this is weird. What the hell am I missing?
It's a weird correlation, because like they're 30th at adjusted line yards. The DVOA is 24th, 25th, but they're third in the league at giving up fantasy points to the position.
Yeah, and fantasy points allowed to the position, and that's why they're showing as significantly above average in all of the charts that we're using. But yeah, so there is that other number there that does coordinate with what was said. And like I said, I was like, there's got to be something out there pushing this, but the results haven't been where they're putting up big numbers. So we covered most of the running backs, guys, up until the 6K zone here. That's pretty much it. And again, you talk about the difficulty of making lineups. Unless you're willing to go down to like Pierce, you're pretty much, your cheapest viable is right here in ETN, and maybe right there in Kamara. Like, that's kind of like your cheap start if you want to save. I think the chalk trio should be these two with Barkley. You won't be able to afford it, or even maybe a Jacobs in that zone. So I think that's where most people will go. But let's talk about the sub 6K zone at running back here. And it gets pretty gross, but I do want to address one or two players in this area that I like. So I'm going to let's all give a player we like under 6K or 6K, because I'm going to leave Montgomery in there in case one of you guys want to grab it. I think Montgomery is a good leverage play. I think he's he's a spectacular leverage play. But one guy I like, and somebody mentioned it here in the chat a couple of minutes ago, is Devin Singletary, and I'm going to tell you why. Wait, let's bring that up here. So the pros and the cons of this cat. Listen, I want to go crazy with it. The pros are starting running back on the Bills. Normally, that's not the best thing to be, because when Josh Allen plays, they're going to throw for touchdowns. They don't run the football because Josh Allen is so freaking good that it's actually a negative expectation to ever have him not throwing it. So they throw it all the time, and he just doesn't do enough. But don't we think that with Case Keenum, who is 6% more likely to check down to running back, whatever that means, for his career than Josh Allen, what if the effect of the different quarterback is Singletary winds up with this big game? They don't have another back on this team that's designed to carry a workload. They have James Cook, who's just a pass catcher, and Nyheim Hines, who's just a pass catcher. So if they want to run the football, it's going to be with Singletary. And, Minnesota's not that great. They're an okay defense, but Buffalo's a better offense, even with Case Keenum likely in there at the helm. Marley's like skeptical. He's like, "There's not going to be Case Keenum. It's going to be Allen." Marley thinks it's going to be Allen. I could tell him.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying it's going to be Allen. I'm just saying I don't think that they're going to be 3-point favorites without Allen.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what happens when it's announced. The guy hasn't practiced. It's Friday. Let's see what happens if that. I'm curious to see if the line changes more, or if this is where it ends up. Because I could definitely see the Bills still being favored, even with their back. Man, this is.
I'd be pretty surprised. I feel like it'd be close to pick them, like maybe Vikings favored by half a point. But I don't know. I don't handicap.
What do you think of the Singletary play, though? That's kind of my under 6K interesting sneaky play.
I mean, I'm heavy on Cook. I'm not going to have Cook and Singletary in the same lineup. So I think it's fine if you need to pay down. I like other spots more. But I'm not against it, especially I think if Allen is in there, that might help Singletary more. just hand it off to
wimpy
him
version
more.
of Allen. Yeah, that could help. What about you, Burns? Oh, who do you have under 6K here as a running back that's acceptable?
Outside of the Chicago game, I'm kind of intrigued very heavily with Jeff Wilson's usage last week at 5,500. He could be your you kind of like your off of Singletary. It's almost like a 1-to-1 off of Singletary. But I think Wilson's actually getting more ownership right now than Singletary. So we could see how that's going to play out into Sunday. But Jeff Wilson it's a good play.
He's still going to be in a kind of a 50-50 split, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you're always going to have that with Chicago's offense and Miami. So, but Wilson did look better with the ball than Mostert did last week.
He definitely did. Wilson knows the system back and forth. He's been in it for years. It's the same system they run in San Francisco. So, like, he just slid right into that spot. I actually gave out some advice on the Gargano show this week for everybody in season long. Just pick up Wilson, get him if he's available. If you can even make a little kind of like a low level trade, he's somebody you want to acquire because Mostert rarely stays healthy for a full season. And when Mostert gets hurt, Wilson's going to be like, oh shit, he's going to win you your league. You know, give Wilson the full workload. He's winning you your league. Unfortunately, in the split, it's not that great. Big Marley Marl. What about you? Who do you like 6K or below at the running back position?
Yeah, I think you guys got the top two, the Bears and the Miami guys. They'll be low owned enough, but if you want to get even crazier and go lower owned, I don't hate Mostert or Herbert. If you need to go that route, I'd say without their quarterback though, like in my non-Fields lineup, I'm cool with some Herbert or Montgomery, and then my non-Tua, I'd be cool with Wilson or Mostert. And then my sneaky route would be Jerick McKinnon. I think he's stackable with Patrick Mahomes if he plays. And if he doesn't play,
McKinnon may not play.
So what I like even more is if he does not play, I like CEH as a possible stack with Mahomes. He's got 6 touchdowns on the year. Half of those are through the air, and nobody will be stacking him with Mahomes. So I think CEH would be my sneaky under 6K play.
That's where I was going to go. I was going to mention now McKinnon's not even showing a Q tag on DraftKings, but
yeah, he is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they gave him the Q tag now. Okay, turned in full practices, but he didn't initially seem to be at risk. Missing after downgrading to limited Friday. Now looks more uncertain. So there's a real chance here that if McKinnon doesn't play, I mean, of course the team will end up featuring Pacheco because you can't trust this team. I would actually mix in a little bit of in just your crazy GPP tournament mix. It would be more like I might CEH, you're right, has done it. Pacheco has not. But what if it's Pacheco? What if they go that way?
I just don't see Pacheco having a role change. I think he would just get 5 to 10 carries, not be involved in the pass game. And the passing game is more what I would be interested in.
I agree with you. But I was just thinking, what if it's Pacheco?
Yeah. I mean, nobody will have him, so I don't hate it with a non-Mahomes, but I wouldn't want him stacked with the Mahomes.
Yeah.
I don't trust either of those guys. MLK 010. I'm hoping that you're making that decision for your season long. If it's DFS, just don't use those guys. In season long, I don't know which one I like. All right, just real quick. We don't do season long for the show, but Cousins or Brissett in season long this week?
That's tough.
So what I would do is I would go to the domination station. I would sort by fantasy points, also. And then I would see that
you cheater.
We have Brissett for
you
for
fucking
more
cheater.
Points. I'll take Brissett.
That's just cheating, man.
That's just how I make most of my season.
I do the same thing. Yeah, I do that. I do the same thing. I'm like, well, I don't really have a lean. Let me see who we have projected.
Or I mean, if you got Cooper on your team, then boom, I'm just throwing Brissett in there. If you got Jefferson, I'll throw in Kirk. Or if you got something like that can help you out.
They're projected so close. All right, let's run through the wide receivers real quick. All right. And just like, let's go stud, middling, dud around the table here, so that we're not going to go through the whole thing, and then we'll go stud, middling, dud, and then give me your GPP crazy play. So we'll do the GPP crazy at the end. So Big Marley, I'll start with you. Stud has to be 7K or above. Middling, give me 5 to 7. Dud, under 5K. So give me your 3. Convince me.
All right. Well, I would say for the 7 and above, it would solely be stacks. I think I'm only getting to those guys for the most part if I'm using their quarterbacks. But if I'm not worried about stacks at all, my favorite above 7 would be Waddle at cost. Anyways, I'm mostly paying like Waddle and down for my wide receivers this week. Favorite middling is going to be by far Juju. He will be my highest owned play, I think, on the slate, just because I'm going to be so heavy on Mahomes. And then you said under 5K. Okay, so for cash games, I would say it's Mac Hollins with Waller and Renfro both being put on IR this week. So Waller would be my cash game choice.
Not Waller, Mac Hollins.
Yeah, Mac Hollins. And then GPPs, I would say, let me stick with the Chiefs, and I'll take MVS as a pivot away from Juju.
I like it. And
then if you want a super freaking crazy, you could plug him in and buy whatever you want. Robbie Anderson at 3,200. He saw 83% of snaps last week. He only needs one long pass to pay that off. So if you want 0% on play in the millie, that'd be my guy.
Amazing that he got that many snaps last week. I did not even know that. That's wild. I wish I didn't dislike Kyler so much this week. I really do, but that price is very good. Burns, stud, middling, and dud wide receiver.
Stud. Let's see. Gosh, there's so many good ones. I'd say I stick with the Miami game. I go right with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
That's a great stud. Middling is going to be Olave for me.
Love that one.
Low salary guy. Let me change this up here. Give me a sec. Get this by salary.
So the dud will call an under 5K play.
Under 5. I was going to go with DPJ. I think he's got a good path to success here this week in that same game with Miami. And I don't hate Chase Claypool. And I really think, like, if you want to get really interesting with lineups this week, I know he's in that 5 to 6K range. I do not hate Deontay Johnson at a kind of a low ownership play in the Millie Maker.
Wow. If you don't hate Deontay Johnson, what about his quarterback as a scary Millie Maker play?
Hell yeah.
Well, I think Kyle actually had that.
Yeah. Stack him with 2. You go with Johnson, Pickens, or Freiermuth. Two of those. That's crazy.
3. It is a tough matchup for Freiermuth. I would. That's the reason, beyond all others, to go with either Pickens or Deontay. In my mind, it's just that it's a brutal tight end matchup against. Yeah, look, they're number 1, and I saw it. I saw it with Likely the other week. That the coverage was really good on. He still had a decent game, but the coverage was elite from New Orleans. So be careful with the Freiermuth play is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I know
though that the wide receivers, and I actually like Pickens more.
Yeah, I mean it's a wide receiver matchup. So Olave. So I'll tell you where I'm going with it. I'm with you guys. And by the way, the fact that we all 3 agree on this is telling me that it's almost like locked in a sense. I'm not playing Kupp. I'm not playing Jefferson against Buffalo. I'm not really playing Devontae. I'm not playing Diggs with no Allen. DeAndre Hopkins, no. So it's got to pretty much be one of these 2 guys. And I'm going to go with Waddle as well at 7,600. as my stud play. Love Tyreek. Same shit, just more expensive. Love him. Middling, primarily Burns, because you said Olave, who I'm obsessed with. I'll go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He will be low owned. I promise you.
It's a good play too.
Yeah, he's gonna be low owned.
He won't be low owned.
He's not doing anything different. This
He'll be, I think, top 5 owned wide receiver of the week.
Oh, he is.
Yeah,
he currently is right now.
Let's see. You know what? I've heard this song before on a Friday. Let's see what happens on Sunday. But like I really like Amon-Ra. I feel like he's coming off some poor games, and so people kind of forget about him. And I especially like him on FanDuel, much more so than DraftKings. FanDuel, that price is crazy. There's a few very extreme price differences, FanDuel and DraftKings this week. Pay attention to those. So my dog play is I'm going to go. I love the Matt Collins call, guys. I like both of your calls, but I'm going to go with Jarvis Landry. If he's going to, I like Kadarius Toney. I'm fine with it. I'm going to go with Jarvis Landry primarily because of this Pittsburgh matchup. Remember, Pittsburgh allows 12 points above mean expectations to opposing wide receivers. That number is not a mistake. You cannot achieve that by accident. They're getting torched by opposing wide receivers. Probably hard to run on them. So, give me the wide receivers from the Saints. And if I can't have Olave because Burns took him, I'll go with Landry. I think that's the play. Yeah, and as far as like the crazy, for me, I don't know, maybe it's not a crazy GPP play. I kind of think like Kadarius Toney is the crazy GPP, or George Pickens. As no one's going to have this guy, but I kind of like him, and he's kind of interesting. So maybe it's not that crazy. I don't know. I don't think anybody's playing George Pickens, but I'm down with that. You know what? I think let's wrap it up here, guys. Let us know who your favorite wide receiver trio is in the comments, of course. And, let us know how you're attacking Millie Makers this week. Are you going to eat some chalk at the running back position? Are you getting silly for the Millie? What kind of, give us your QB wide receiver combos that you like. And if somebody nails the nuts combo in here, we will call you out next week and we'll get you a free month of DFS Army membership. So why not? Toss them in the comments. You cannot do it during the live stream. So those of you who are watching live, you got to repost it because these just float away. So you got to kind of do it on the replay. Sorry, but that's the only way we really see them. Or I can go back and look and go, oh yeah, that guy nailed it. I literally go back on these, and we've had a couple of guys nail the nuts plays, and a lot of times they don't. And I'm like, damn, no one got it right. I think the first time Tua went crazy, no one even thought. It didn't occur to anybody to play Tua that week. So, how things have changed. All right, that's going to do it for Tournament Tactics NFL Week 10. Final thoughts, Big Marley.
Dalvin Cook for all the monies.
Dude, if the Dalvin Cook thing hits, I'm going to just be tagging you in Discord over like, Marley, he fucking 2 touchdowns for Dalvin. We got to just tag the shit out of Marley if that hits. Burns, what's your sneaky play of the week that I could tag you with if it hits?
Oh, shoot. Right now, Olave's at 7% ownership. So I'll take that as it against Pittsburgh. And I do want to give a shout out to Sox Fever 51, man. He took down his second King of the Beach qualifying ticket.
I saw that.
Marley has one. These are not easy to get, people. Like, I don't care if you're playing 15 guys. When you play the $500 entry, you're playing 14 of the best players in the world. Okay, DFS players in the world. So for him to come away with 2 tickets this year and Marley with 1, and I haven't gotten one, damn it. But no, Sox Fever 51, man. Congrats, dude. And I'll pull for you. I think it's swag worthy.
Listen, guys, you watch the showdown breakdown. Use the lineup, attack a King of the Beach qualifier. You're probably going to the beach. That's how it goes. I have not tried for it, Burns, because I don't think I have it in me to fly to all the way across the country to San Diego. I'm telling you, I know it sounds crazy. I don't have it in me to go across like during in season to take a 6-hour cross country flight and deal with that. It's just, I was like, when it was in Miami, I'm like, you know what? It's 2 hours. I can do that and like mental survive it. I'm not sure. I just don't think I can do it. So I didn't attack any of the King of the Beach this year because I just didn't like that it's on the West Coast. Fuck the East Coast, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
Biggie.
I attacked it hard last year. I got 4 last year, and I've been attacking the World Fantasy Football Championships on DraftKings. That it's so difficult to get them, but this week might work.
I feel it. I feel it's going to happen. I feel it's going to happen for you. Sneaky play of the week. I'll reveal that on the Players Club tomorrow. I don't feel good. I don't have one that I want to give out right now, that I feel like I want to put my brand on. So I'm gonna wait till tomorrow and see what comes up for me. I do like we didn't mention, but I'm kind of interested in the pass catchers for Denver a little bit, if they're going to be low owned, maybe Jerry Jeudy. So that's sort of who I'm thinking about. Mm-hmm. I like that mid salary level that he's at, but I'm not sure I want to throw the brand on it. By the way, how about BobbyWow's call of Laviska Shenault yesterday? I'm sorry, but BobbyWow couldn't be here today, but holy shit. If you watched the Showdown Breakdown and he calls out Laviska, and I'm like, out of what is giving? He's like, I don't know. And then the guy, I was like, he puts up 12, can't have more than 2 touches in a game. So shout out to BobbyWow for helping me and a lot of DFS Army members absolutely destroy last night's showdown. If you're not signed up at DFS Army, of course, make sure you go do it now. I'll show it again. We already showed this before, but when you are on the DFS Army website, we've got a free month offer. You can try it for free. I'm going to show you how to do it.
Or you can just use promo code Sleeveless, save 10%. You'll want to stick around anyways.
Yeah, you could use promo code Sleeveless. That'll get you 10% off. By the way, it's UFC freaking big pay-per-view week.
Israel, right?
Israel Adesanya going up against Pereira. We got my girl Carla Sparza taking on Weili Zhang. We all the UFC content is going. We got the Sleeveless one himself fucking tearing it up with Sniper on the MMA kill shot breakdown. But you do any of these offers right here, it's so worth it. Like, just sign up at Underdog or Owner's Box. Make it $50. You could play. You're not giving us the money. Go there, gamble the money on Prize Picks. We have Prize Picks tools. We have tools for for Underdog. We have Monkey Knife Fight tools. You can use our tools, crush those sites, put $50 in, get their deposit match, get all the free shit they give you, and you get a free month of DFS Army to see what the hype is about. Get in our Discord. If you're watching this and you're a DFS Army subscriber and you're not in our Discord, you must join the Discord. You're missing most of what we do. Most of what we do is not on this website. It's in the Discord. You click right here on the Discord button and you connect your account. That's how you get in there. We have channels. It's VIP only. There's a public Discord. If you're in the public, that is not what you're connecting to. We have a private VIP only Discord. You see, we're strategizing DFS. Sometimes you just get random pictures like an OnlyFans. If I need to keep the members and I have to take sexy pictures, that might happen too.
The optimizer itself is worth the price.
Well, of course. And of course the domination station. Oh, wait, my sexy pictures isn't worth it. No one wants to see that.
I think that's a very, very close second. Yes.
Second. But yeah. And part of the reason why we don't charge as much as the other sites that you're familiar with is because we are the only site that created and owns our own optimizer. The other sites that you're signing up for or that you're aware of, they are buying that technology from outside and reselling it to you for double the price. That's why we don't do that. We're like, why are you cheaper than those guys? Or they must be better. No, they just have to pay as much as our entire subscription is just to rent the optimizer from another company and sell it to you. So that's why we built our own. That's why we build our team. Everything that comes in from our team, we are members. The subscribership, the members, we listen, we adjust. They want a tool, we get it. They want to adjust the tool, we do it if we think it works. They want to improve something, we do it. That's what we're doing with the dues. We're improving the site. We're improving the tools constantly. We're always working on that. And we love suggestions from you guys as subscribers. When you say, hey, Kev, this would be really, really awesome. Oh, yeah. And this is the other thing. We're getting Burns. We're getting a lot of requests for a Burns only Shark Lab show. I've been getting that request. I'm getting a lot of DMs about it, Burns.
If you guys get it to Texan 0322 and Kevin,
we're down to do it. We're down to do it. I don't know if I can host another show,
but yeah, we can get it. We can get it.
Yeah, VIP only though. That'd be just for the subscribers.
I heard they want me to have my own channel in Discord too.
They are there. That is being said. I'm not kidding around. Everybody loves the math. I think the Shark Lab show is a great idea, and I think we should do it. All right, that's going to do it for this one, everybody. Good luck this week. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards. Deuces.